Hello, welcome to First Friday at the Fab Lab. We've got a really fun show this evening. We actually have a pre-recorded interview with Shane Vanderkooi of Green Mouse Academy in HADO Florida, since he wasn't able to join us live this evening. But we've got Michelle Mendez with us, who's one of our board members, and also part of the production team for a lot of the things we do with FCDI. And we're going to start with a video to get the conversation going that we think everyone will enjoy. We enjoyed it. So have a look at HADO. So that's what it looks like when you know what you're doing. There's Michelle, and you can introduce yourself, Michelle. Oops, I don't hear any audio.
It helps to unmute.
Yeah.
So I've done that now. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle. As Terry said, I'm one of the board members for FCDI over at AMROC. And I'm also an executive producer of special events for Plug It's Live, and a few other different things. But
yeah, and training in HADO with us. So
and I'm in training with HADO.
Yep. So you saw what it looks like when there's a lot of athleticism and people who've been doing it for a while doing it. And the next short video we're going to show you before we go into Shane's interview is a training that we did at AMROC Fab Lab. I guess it's been 2 weeks now. And so this is one of the only places, I think maybe the only place in Florida where you can, play with this right now. And we first got it 2 weeks ago and we played with it. And so we're going to show you what it looks like played at sort of an unfully built out field yet, but we had a good time with it. And you can see what it looks like in real life. So we're going to pop this up here. Whoops, add to the stream. Whoops, hang on. That's not actually my super one, but we'll go with it. So that's a bunch of people running around, pointing at each other, and it's pretty entertaining. But they're seeing a lot more in their headsets. So, it's a really strange thing to see. You're wearing these headsets and you're playing a game and you're seeing pretty much what they're seeing in some of the film on there. And I'm going to go into Shane's interview. You were there for some of that and played around with it. And it was pretty interesting stuff.
It's a lot of fun.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and put Shane's interview up, and we can take questions. You can take questions and put them in the chat. We're on YouTube and we're on Facebook Live right now. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. We're also going to put Shane mentioned some things during the interview. We weren't able to put the info into the interview itself, so we're going to throw those into the chat as we go along. We'll talk a little bit more, and we hope you all enjoy it. If I get the right video up there the first time, we'll see if this works right. Let's see what happens. Oh, sorry, that's the video that we actually created. That's what I was supposed to run earlier. You can take a look at that. that's a video I meant to show earlier. We're still learning the ropes here too. And then we actually went into when Shane and I were talking. The interview actually runs off of this when he starts talking about what we were doing. And you can really see there the difference between what you were seeing on the screen is what you see in your headset. And then when you're looking through the window, you see people running around having a good time. But without further ado, we'd like to introduce Shane Vanderkooi.
And got Shane here with us to tell us a little bit about what you just saw. We've had a lot of fun with that. And so this is essentially an augmented reality version of dodgeball, right, Shane? And please tell us a little bit about yourself and how HADO has come to be.
You've got it, Terry, and so good to be with you again. And I feel like I might end up having to just move across the state over to Tampa because we're just in touch and we're seeing what you're doing and excited about what's happening at AMROC and everything that you and your team do. My name is Shane Vanderkooi, as you said, and put on the bottom of the screen. I lead a company in the other side of the state in Palm Beach County called Green Mouse Academy, and most recently a specific program to Green Mouse called HADO Florida. And so just a little quick background on what we do. Our team develops and delivers STEM or STEAM activity programs for schools, primarily in the after-school setting. Kind of the sweet spot of the age group we work with is about K through grade 8, but we've expanded and really work with the young and the young at heart from preschool all up to on the way up to adults and education practitioners. We kind of specialize, as I said, STEM and STEAM activities. In the area of robotics, we do a lot with Lego Robotics. We're the program delivery partners for South Florida for the first Lego League. Things have slowed down a little bit due to the pandemic, but we normally support teams and competition for hundreds of teams in South Florida. We also have curriculum and content activities in coding, game design, stop motion animation, digital art, all kinds of maker crafts, a little bit of mechanical design, and more recently, or most recently now, something that I can say is best described as technology sports. I think we lost you for a moment there.
How about if I use some audio this time? Yeah, and that's fantastic. And so when you had come up here, you were actually coming up for a Mosey event in Tampa to announce HADO. And, it caught the imagination of a lot of people when you did. And I actually had lost a little bit of what you were doing over here. I think I've got a flunky connection. But, tell us what motivated you, what really caught your interest in that, and why you think it's something that, is good to bring here,
Sure. Thank you for bringing up that event. It allowed us to reconnect. There happened to be, we thought we were making a big announcement in Tampa, and apparently there was another small sporting event happening that same weekend. And congratulations to Tampa and winning another Super Bowl. I guess what I'm always looking for, our mission at Green Mouse is really to help put experiences through STEM products and education technology products in front of kids that really will just help them learn how to be creative with the tools of today. And those are different from the tools that I grew up with. And so I'm always on the hunt of what's new, what's coming, what is going to really capture kids' interest in a form that we would call stealth learning. So they think they're having fun and playing, but we're really engaging them and learning and developing skill sets for the future that are going to help them succeed. And I came across a video. If you go to the HADO website, our HADO Florida website, hado-florida.com, you'll see the very first video. I saw that about 2 years ago, and I kind of parked it. And when I looked at it, I said, "This is so cool. I've got to look at this and share this with my team." And coming around about a year and a half later, right before COVID hit, I got a chance to dig in a little deeper, and at the same time also learned a little bit more about this incredible growth sector called eSports. It's kind of a subset of gaming, and had no idea that this is already nearly a $1 billion industry. There's professional eSports gamers all over the world. And even within schools and colleges, there's professional amateur and scholastic esports teams popping up in almost every high school in the country. And so we really saw that as a potential vehicle to engage with kids. And it kind of prompted me to push further and contact Meilip. Meilip is the Japanese company that created HADO and distributes it around the world and operates the official HADO competition league. And through a discussion, I got to know a little bit more about them, and I'll jump to the end of the story quickly, but we actually created a relationship and have an exclusive opportunity with Meilip. But going back to your first question, what really attracted me is just this intriguing STEM story that was where they started. The young founder, I want to make sure I get his name correct. It's Hiroshi Fukuda. He had this dream or this vision of being able to create a reality around what he grew up with in his comic book, manga heroes, and also in gaming, where he saw heroes firing energy balls at opponents and being able to block the energy balls coming from the opponents with a shield, and just kind of living out that blend of fantasy and sort of those superhero abilities. And he dreamt of how bringing that to life. And in 2014, he actually did it. He created HADO and this augmented reality game. It's kind of a cross between a game and a sport. They define it at Meilip as a techno sport. And he literally made his dream a reality, even as a young entrepreneur and STEM innovator. Literal reality, augmented reality, and then started distributing and playing HADO, making it available around the world. And to me, that inspiring story, I mean, that's a story of innovation. It's a tech STEM story. It's an entrepreneurship story. And to me, when we look at engaging kids, there's two things I always look for. One is there a blend between the physical and the digital? There's enough just digital out there, and dizzying number of apps and games. And to me, anybody can do that. So I try to find, where's our niche? I want to involve the kids physically as well, in a physical product as well. And then to me, there's got to be an inspiring STEM story, even though, many of these organizations are very successful, big businesses, and that's great. But I'd like to find out what's behind that. Is there some kind of inspiring story, whether it's a founder, a STEM hero, or just the company or the technology itself that we can bring to kids, to inspire them as well. So,
right, yeah, and that's fantastic, because one of my next questions was going to be, what do you think sets this apart from other esports? And there's a lot, right? The esports tend, I think, if people are even familiar with the term, the vision they might have in their mind is banks of computers with people sitting there with headsets on, fixated on the screen, or big things happening on the screen in front of them, as they level up through different levels of a platform games of different kinds, or first person games and things like that. This is completely different. I mean, somebody my age, who doesn't do any of this stuff, found something compelling in it to watch it. The training video that we showed, those just happened to be robotics team students who were here, and we gave it to them to try out. They'd never done anything like that before. And then, that lent itself to conversations about where they were trying to figure out, some of them referred to it as virtual reality, VR, others got that it was augmented reality. There's a whole discussion, area there. But this active esport, to me, I think is what I found the most appealing in it, right? That you're in a video game, but you're moving, you're physically moving. So I think that's what stood out for me in it as well. And then the story, of course, that somebody, because we do a lot with innovation at AMROC, right? And you do as well, and with the things you do with Green Mouse, that somebody felt motivated enough by something to want to create it, bring it into being in some sort of a real tangible form. That's exciting.
You bring up a really good point, and to me, I think that's critical, because we do a lot of work with underserved, underrepresented groups, populations, and we receive support to do that. And I think one of the things that's going to win the support, because it takes funding and groups to support the work that we do. I think one of the things that our funders look for, but also teachers, parents, and so on. You know, they feel like there's that tug of war with their kids and the kids that they work with to pull the devices and the technology out of their hands and get them active in doing other things. And I think, you know, I support that. I'm a parent, and there's screen time and non-screen time. But I think in some sense, that's a battle we're not going to win. I mean, we've got kids who were born with all these devices around them. They don't see, like my generation was, okay, that's tech class, that's computer class, and this is your other life. And, you know, they are separated. Our kids growing up, it's all around them. They were born into this. And so I think HADO, like other tools like that, really help us fight fire without fire. We want kids to become active. How can we use these devices to engage kids in physical activity? And we're not going to pick on eSports because we want to make friends with this gigantic juggernaut, you know, growth area. But we do see that, I think I see HADO as being differentiated slightly, kind of a niche area. And honestly, I don't think it's just going to be HADO. I think there's going to be a whole niche of augmented, virtual, and active gaming reality kind of tools and sports that will be a subset of the larger eSports industry.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it's physically active is a differentiator. It's a team sport. And I challenge anybody who doesn't realize how active it is. I mean, these are 80-second matches, or they seem very quick. It's like, okay, how physical can it be? Do 3 80-second matches in a row and then check your heart rate.
Yeah. You really get
active.
some mileage in it. You really are. Yeah. And it was interesting. And what's also interesting about it that also caught my interest. I think everybody comes at it differently. Right? Kids see game, fun. You know, other people see, you know, a cool sport to really something new. Others see academic tools in it and things. I also see physical and occupational therapy, you know, applications with it. That was one of the first things that got my mind, you know, sort of going around it, because this year for the first robotics competition and for First Tech Challenge, for those who, you know, follow the youth sports, youth robotics programs, they had an innovation challenge, and the innovation challenge was to create a solution for a health and wellness challenge, mental or physical health and wellness using technology. And our students here at AMROC Fab Lab, the first robotics competition team, had come up working with an occupational therapist. And this was right before we ever learned about HADO, to come up with some way to help stroke victims regain the movement of their hand. The occupational therapist was explaining when there's a stroke, usually somebody's arm comes up, right? And they have to work to bring it, retrain it, and come back down. And so the kids had come up with a gaming solution using muscle sensors on the arm, and a small movement would create some kind of a you know, virtual reality using a headset or an augmented reality, create some kind of a large action, right? And as a person's arm got stronger, they dial that back. And then HADO comes along, right? And I thought, wow, that's like a really large scale application of what they're doing, because it doesn't matter what your physical capabilities or limitations are. So you can be super athletic and play it the way they have in Japan for the last few years, which is absolutely stunning. It's a show, right? And we'll have some of that video to run along with this recording tonight. But you know, it's stunning. Or you can play it, you know, my age and not really have to move a whole lot, but everybody with the same physical capabilities can play it and still have a lot of fun with it. You could be in wheelchairs and play it. You know, to me, that is, and you can, and there's different levels within the game that you can set at. So you can set it at a what is it, the my level 0, you know, and dial it up all the way. So, you know, what were some of your thoughts on that? Have you explored any of that as well?
Well, to unpack all that, there's so much we could say, and so cut me off when, you know, but
no, cut me off anytime. I'll go on forever. I think this is all exciting.
No, you've hit on so many cool things and things that aspects and features of HADO that I think we can really capitalize on and utilize to do really good work in a number of different ways. I mean, the inclusivity of HADO, which I think will make it even very much more well embraced within the academic and out of school area field is really important, because, you know, adults quickly see, oh, this looks like a, you know, digital form of dodgeball, but dodgeball has actually been outlawed or banned in most schools and education settings because of, you know, people being sort of taken back to the time when you know, kids were bullied with dodgeball, or, you know, the kids who really ought to and needed a lot of exercise would have to sit out because they got out in dodgeball right away or got injured or whatever. And HADO is inclusive, and every single player can, first of all, immediately play it. There isn't really an advantage of being bigger, smaller, in any sort of direction. You can immediately play within minutes without needing a whole lot of training, which differs from some of the other more complex esports. And it's suitable for mixed genders, mixed age groups, and so on, joining together on a team and being fully competitive and fully engaged. And when you're hit and you lose your life petals in HADO play, which your viewers will see on the video, you're not out. You don't sit out. You just get new life petals. The opposing team gets a point. You keep playing till the match is over. So in that sense, it's super inclusive. Going to your point about potentially a therapy or even a sports training tool. I mean, we were actually exploring and dabbling in a field called active gaming or exergaming over 10 years ago. And what struck me, we've kind of come full circle, because one of the world leading research centers that was studying how to use active gaming and exergaming in an education setting or in therapy settings was happening right at USF, across the street from you, at the Active Gaming Research Labs by Dr. Lisa Hansen. And I think there was even a charter school in that area that had an exergaming or active gaming lab right in their school. And future PE teachers were being taught how to use different tech tools, games, and systems to create this, almost like I would say it's an exercise circuit as a new form of PE. To fight fire with fire, basically use gaming to get kids active. And so I think for being able to, for rehabilitation tool, for creating or rebuilding, and I'm getting out of my element here, but sort of, the brain connections between body, brain, and sensory sort of rehabilitation, I think who knows what's possible. And the fact that you're located next to USF, as well as some world-class level health and research facilities, is going to create opportunities to do some really cool studies on what's possible with HADO. The hook is going to be the fun, right? The stealth learning and the stealth research that happens around that is what's also really exciting for folks like us.
Yeah, and it is, and people look at it immediately. Ideas come to mind, right? What else can we do? How else can you do this? And the HADO version that we have here at AMROC that you're HADO Florida that's just like one, right? There's HADO Kart, there's all these other things that also exist around it. So there's just so many different games that you can do with it, and so many different ways to have fun with it. And the other thing is that you can do it in a relatively small space, right? And that's another thing. It's indoors, but you're moving, but you can do it on the tech sports field we have, which doubles as a drone field and as a robotics field and all these things. So, here's, like you said, it's an active sport. I think I love the active gaming idea. I think that to me is exciting. There's so many things you can do with that. And I would put, the robotics and the drone programs and all of these different kinds of ways to compete and think and have, different types of games that we've never played before. People love playing games. And any way you can have a team game is exciting. And there's strategy to this too. When I started looking into that.
Yeah, there is, and I think we need to point out the fact too that I think what you're doing is we're actually kind of creating a merge. We're bringing in I think so many different things. When you see HADO competitions, especially overseas, I mean, these are celebrations of popular culture. There's cosplay, there's dressing up, there's music, it's sport, it's broadcasting. It's amazing, sort of big, exciting events. I think the fact that it's going to attract kids who are already interested in gaming and STEM and augmented reality and some of the technology parts of it are important. But I think we're also going to be bringing in and interesting kids who might just be into sports, and crossing them over and being able to introduce them to areas in STEM, and which they might not normally be aware of or attracted to. So I think sort of putting out there a bigger net, and having different kids who have different interests engaging together in something in a fun way is only going to benefit them and us, rather than sort of we're always, as educators and working within the community, trying to figure out, okay, how do we reach underrepresented populations in STEM? And I think this is a great tool to do that and create conversations and collaboration, amongst kids.
It definitely is, and it's a different way to look at, augmented reality and those kinds of immersive environments. And we really didn't touch on it, but the question of virtual reality versus augmented reality comes into it a lot. People tend to use the phrases, the terms interchangeably. They're not, right? How would you help people understand the difference between the two?
I'm not sure I do it well, but I'll give it a shot. But there's some actually good differences that were pointed out to me. But I mean, virtual reality, you tend to sort of be totally immersed. So my first virtual reality experience was I got to walk around virtually the space station, the International Space Station, and go through corridors and check things out and so on. And that was really cool. But I was totally immersed. I was there, didn't see anything else, and I sort of lost touch with where I was at. And honestly, for a couple of moments, I wondered, am I going to back up? Because I was standing up just in a crowded expo area. I wasn't sure, am I going to trip on something? Who's around me? Do I look foolish? Whatever, because I'm there. I'm up in space. And there's some really, really useful, exciting applications for virtual reality, both for fun, entertainment purposes, and also for real amazing, industry use, real life utilizations, training. Augmented, it actually merges the real world and the virtual world. And my first sort of, I've heard about it, but what really caught my attention with augmented reality was Pokemon Go. Everybody on the planet was hunting for this stuff, and so you're still part of the physical world, but it's got this overlay that kind of merges fantasy with reality. To me, it's imaginative, and it kind of brings that together, merges that together, and I think that's kind of cool. That's what makes it, I think, different. It also creates,
especially for somebody my age, it feels safer. Actually, it really does. I don't feel disoriented.
Exactly. I think there's less disorientation. And I think some of that's been pointed out in the research and in some of the focus groups with HADO itself. The fact that players still have peripheral vision, you see the physical space you're in front of you. There's not that fear of kind of jumping in and getting started. You don't feel like, okay, do I look foolish? Am I going to trip? Or I'm going to bump into somebody? I think that's important as we try to make lots of people comfortable in trying it out.
Right, I agree, and so can you also tell us a little bit about HADO Academy? So there's a little bit of some development going on there as well.
Absolutely, that's really the big announcement that we came out with a few weeks ago, and we're working hard to bring to reality. We've been invited exclusively by Mayleap in Japan to develop a scholastic form of what they refer to as HADO Academy, and our version is really going to introduce HADO into the out-of-school and scholastic settings, starting first here in Florida. And HADO gameplay will be the hook, but really we're going to use that as a project-based learning curriculum or experience to introduce kids to the different careers that are part of the larger esports field. And so in addition to playing the game, we're gonna have kids explore and discover sort of putting on or first of all creating a micro model of an esports league, an esports HADO league, and then facilitating gameplay. So it's not us bringing this experience to the kids, it's them creating it for themselves. So putting together a little HADO tournament with multiple teams. They'll have to understand and manage the equipment, the technology, rotate between players, officiate the matches. They'll learn about shoutcasting and casters and broadcasting and the play-by-play calling. And as we develop various deeper modules of the program, they'll even, and FIRST does a great job of this too, they'll really start creating sort of an organizational structure around creating a league and managing a league of their own, but also their own teams. A president of the team, a general manager, they need to market their team, they need to design a logo, they need to create a website, they need to eventually bring on sponsors for their team. There's finances and financial management, prizes and so forth, just real life experiences. Right. And at the same time, giving them a taste of all these different really exciting and very lucrative careers that didn't exist only a few years ago. and are very legitimate. And so, we're going to get started. It's a multi-year project, but we're really going to really develop that scholastic side, and it'll start here in South Florida, and hopefully we'll be able to expand that nationwide. So that's got Green Mouse, our team, totally focused. We're also developing sort of the business model around it, and looking for partners to do that. And then at the same time, we need gameplay and HADO operating partners in key markets, or with key constituencies, to bring HADO gameplay and ultimately the HADO Academy content and experience to the kids and the young at heart in their local community. And that, of course, brought us to you.
Yeah, and we're super excited about that for all those reasons, right? So the Academy portion is fascinating and invaluable. We obviously work with a lot of students here at Amrock Fab Lab, and of course they've all seen HADO now, and they're all excited about it, and they all respond to different parts of it, right? So there are those who really like the setup part, and the game production aspects, just like there are with First Robotics. Like you said, Roboticon, when we do that each year, is largely produced by alumni and students who have been involved in First for a while, and the production aspects of it are huge. When Scott at Plug Hits Live produces Roboticon with us, that's almost all students doing the interviews. And we're doing a lot of that here at Amrock as well with other programs with our All the Colors Career Diversity series, where we have students interviewing other people about different types of careers. And, it really expands how we look at STEM education, right? Science and technology and engineering and, manufacturing is also production. The content, especially we've discovered that I think a lot this past year, right? With the pandemic, you need to be able to use your online tools. I still struggle with this thing a little bit, but being able to keep communications going and keep entertainment and production and knowledge content going is vital, and doing it well is extremely important. So I think it's just another way to catch people's interest. And I think we never seem to have a shortage of catching people's interests on things, but this one's especially exciting, and I really think it's wonderful. One of the things we're looking at here too is looking at it as a way to help fund things, right? So it's appealing to children and the young at heart, like you said. We think it also has applications, from our respect here at Amrock Fab Lab and through the Foundation for Community-Driven Innovation, as a team building for corporations and for companies, right? You have to definitely work together with this to make it successful when you have your team out there, as we've discovered. And I was fascinated watching the Japanese videos about the coordination in the teams. I've done this a lot, right? They have strategies when they play these games. Who's doing the shields, who's doing the shooting, who's doing, which commanding different aspects of the game. And I think that's fascinating, from an adult perspective and from corporate perspectives.
It is, and actually even it's all about collaborating, and I think for team building activities in a corporate environment. I've been to many events and so on like that, and often when sort of these different team building activities in a corporate training setting are brought up, you see a good number of eyes rolling and so on, because it feels sort of manufactured, and it's you see how many can quick get away and use the excuse they got to go on their phone or you check a message, whereas this is fun. And it allows adults even to become a little bit like kids, takes them back again and fully engage.
Sure.
And again, it's as much stealth learning for them as it is for the kids, because it's about, it's about strategy and so on too, but even it's just about relationship building as well. You laugh about what worked well, what didn't. It uses the tools of today. They're going to recognize the technology, but it's not so complex that you have to spend hours to figure it out.
Right.
I mean, you put it on with a couple of minutes of instructions, you're immediately playing. You haven't figured out the strategy to necessarily maybe win yet or play really well yet, but you're able to immediately play and have some fun and then reflect on it. And I think for any team building activity, that's really important. And you can work with a mixed group. You're not gonna stop anybody from participating. Anybody can join together and be on a team and play, which is important as something that's very inclusive. It's not just for kids. It's for everyone, including companies.
Right. Yeah, and I, we were joking. You could have groups of much older people in here having fun with it, and just the fact that you can just move your hand and have this huge thing happen in front of you, right, is fun. And I was sitting here playing it by myself. I was trying to test stuff out, and I was playing against the computer. I was like, okay, I'm not going to get anything done because this is really too much fun. So, I don't want to keep you real long here, but tell me what you hope, where you hope to see things in the near future, and maybe, at the end of the year or into the next couple of years with this.
I get to play futurist. I love that.
Yeah.
Let me jump to the distant future, and nowadays, what distant future in our field is 5 years out?
Year and a half.
IT and tech moves quick, right? So you can't shoot too far. But 5 years from now, I would love to see a network of HADO operators and HADO sites in key markets throughout North America. I would like to see a very well-tested, proven HADO Academy model that could fit certainly in after-school camps, community-based educational and recreational settings like yours and mine. And also, I think there's room for HADO as part of an eSport scholastic program to be embedded right inside the school day. And actually, Florida is one of the few states that has already recognized and approved curriculum related to eSports for high school students. So, I see that as a potential. And, I would love to see over 100 HADO sites all over the country and many hundreds and hundreds of HADO teams, as well as opportunities for just the general public to recreationally. In the meantime, this current coming year, we got to get started. And so you're at AMROC, you're actually, I think, our very first operating partner here in South Florida. So it's a first for us, and we're grateful for that relationship and partnership. By this summer, we hope to already be piloting some of the very first elements of the HADO Academy content after school or like in a camp setting. If not over summer, certainly at the beginning of the new school year. Some of it's, we got to watch what's happening with the pandemic restrictions and making sure we're socially distancing and so forth. And we've got protocols in place to allow for us to do that safely. Yeah. But it's just steps after that. And we're really just looking at getting it out there, getting feedback. And I really view this, I'd love to draw in connections to, blockchain and cryptocurrencies and making this available as even an investment vehicle, putting on my commercial business side of the hat of making this available so we could ultimately create a competitive league structure that we could feed into sort of, okay, you've gotten exposed to this. There's a few folks, hopefully a lot of few that will want to go pro and, develop a competitive HADO league and allow it to be a league of the people that they might invest in, but also participate in it. And, I know this isn't going, this is going out there on the internet, but, we want to win. We want to take, there's competition events, global ones in Japan and Europe and also elsewhere. And, it'd be nice to bring back some prizes.
Here's your chance, Florida, even. We're starting here. Let's take it. It does exist in a few other places in the country. Absolutely. And so, this is, really super exciting to be able to do this here. I agree. I'd love to see some really great things happening with Florida leading the way on it, and let's give Florida man a new augmented reality suit here. So, here at AMROC, we do intend to use some of it during our summer camp program. We're doing a smart city summer camp, and we'll be releasing some information about that pretty soon for registration and things like that. We definitely want to look at the corporate leagues and doing some of the team building and getting some of the engineering companies and some of the tech companies in here to try this out and give us some real feedback on it. I think that would be really important. We'd love to see some corporate leagues going, and with the league fees from that helping fund more of the research and development into this and other STEM programming that we do at both Green Mouse Academy and here at AMROC Fab Lab. I think it's a great tool in so many different ways. We're definitely excited to be part of it and excited to be working with you. We've always had a good time, working on robotics and other programs. And, I think the only limits to our imagination, that could be a sort of hackneyed phrase, but it's true. We're really excited about this. So, do you have anything else I didn't ask you that you'd like to add that we might have left out of our rambling conversation here.
I could talk for hours, but I'd be remiss if I didn't just tell you officially, publicly, how thankful we are to be partnered with you, with Amrock, and the team around you. We've known each other for years. We've seen the good work that you do, and for me, I mean, your big events too. We participated and saw how professional you and your team are. With Roboticon and the MakerCon events, and also the work over the years you've done with FIRST, but also to see. I mean, I was talking with you when even Amrock and the facility was just an idea, and you and your team, you've turned that into a reality, and then the big plans that you have for the future with the I think it's the innovation project, Rhythm at Uptown, and just the really cool things that are happening there. We want to be a part of that, and to be able to do that with you, with HADO, I think is really exciting. And then the last thing is just, I'm looking for partnerships all over. And one of the things we always look for is just the organizations and the people behind them. Do they have that passion for helping kids succeed? That's what's really the most important. And I've said, you can't teach that. Somebody either has that. It's sort of that core belief system. It's the values that they live day to day. You and your team obviously not only have it, but are true models and mentors to share that passion with others. And so we can't help but not want to be partnered with you, and really
we appreciate that, because it's reciprocal. It's like the Mutual Admiration Society here. But and that's an important part of making any of these things succeed. Well, and when we do air this tonight with some other content, be sure we have contact information for you. Green Mouse Academy in HADO, Florida on there, and we'll make sure everybody can reach you on that. We're going to be inviting questions, in the evening, and I'm sure we'll get some more interest, and we'll make sure that everybody can get in touch with Shane. And inquiries welcome, right? So this is going to be awesome. We look forward to partnering with more great folks in the community to make this happen. Here at Amrock, we're definitely interested in corporate partnerships for it, and working with students and schools to try and expand this in a lot of different ways, and expanding the HADO Academy aspects of it especially. So this has been great. I really, really appreciate your time, Shane. We're so excited to have HADO at Amrock Fab Lab, and everybody will be hearing more about it as time goes on, and as we learn more and develop more, and hopefully we'll be having some events, right, where we'll have some tournaments and eventually championships and all sorts of things, and hopefully Rhythm at Uptown will be the kickoff site for some real exciting HADO gameplay.
Absolutely. You'll see it on everything. It's get in the game. You can literally get in the game.
That's right. Get in the game. Yeah.
Get in the game.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Shane. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you to everybody who's watched this evening. And we will keep the conversation going. We'll be back again in May with our first Friday at the Fab Lab. I think we'll be talking to the folks from Aftershocks. So thank you all again. And thank you, Shane, very, very much for your time this evening.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Terry.
I'll say it again. That was pretty amazing.
That was a really good interview.
Yeah, I was so excited that he was able to carve some time out of the afternoon to come speak with us. I think he really did a great job of explaining it and showing what was involved with all of it. What did you think? Because you didn't get to hear him. I got to hear that twice, and I still thought it was interesting.
It's very interesting. Like, every time I talk to him about it, you get like a renewed sense of excitement. It's a really fun game, and it's very engaging. Obviously, seeing it in person makes you even more excited about it. But
right, yeah. I liked what he said, because you do a lot of the production and stuff. He actually talked a lot about the HADO Academy with respect to event production and things like that. And there isn't much out there that really teaches that. I don't think. I mean, you learn it by doing it, Scott, and you do internships and stuff. But what do you think of that aspect of it?
I think that's a really great part of it, is that it's not just how to play the game or even how to conduct the game, how to, be the one running the game, but there's a lot more aspects to it that can get especially our first kids, more engaged and learning more things within the tech world. I think it's a great aspect.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. We're obviously going to do more about that. I didn't, there was other things going on at the Fab Lab, so we couldn't really get out at the field, but I brought show and tell. So we've got one of the headsets here. It's basically got, an iPhone in it, and then lenses on the other side. I'm really awkward with cameras, but everything's in here. And then you wear, an iTouch on your hand, and it actually has all of your settings on here for playing the game. And you just put it on and go, and it's ridiculously fun, and it doesn't seem like it should be that much fun, but it really is. And
it really is.
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it's something that you look at and you're like, what is that? That looks weird. And then when you're like, oh, it's kind of like a virtual dodgeball. Wait a minute, I can. But
you don't get hurt. Nobody's doing headshots. Exactly.
Yeah, like this is something I can. It even got my lazy butt up and said, I want to be the first one to try this. And he was right. It's very exhausting. Even the more fit of us in our group, which isn't me, obviously, but
even the kids. I mean, even the kids were like panting.
They were like laying on the ground. It's a lot of fun, and I really even like it just for the fun exercise aspect of it, because it takes hits to a whole nother level.
We were talking about doing like HADO size. Yeah, HADO size later.
I think we absolutely need to do that. I think we need to have some open hours.
Yeah, so you go down, you do your mall walk, and then you come in and do a little HADO size, and your day is off to a good start.
We could promote it almost like the high intensity interval training, because it really, and it's as intense as you want it to be too. I mean, sure, you can just stand there and kind of pew pew if you wanted, but you like ducking and it's fun.
Do some rolls, but yeah. So I'm excited about this, and I'm really grateful to Shane for coming out. We've actually just put there's an article on the website now that takes a little bit deeper dive into some of the stuff he was talking about, and I'll pop that into the chat as well. And he's kind of a visionary guy, and he's a lot of fun to talk to. So and he really thinks about all the different things that you can do around an idea. And I think it's super exciting. So we will keep everyone posted. We will have some HADO incorporated into our summer camp programs in June and July. And we will definitely have it at Roboticon and at MakerCon whenever we can get back to some in-person events there. But in the meantime, you'll be able to see some of it as, we're doing another training session, I think in another week or so. And as we get up to speed with it, there'll be open HADO times at AMROC where people can come and explore it. We're particularly interested in reaching out to local corporations who would like to, consider corporate leagues. So that we can start exploring, what that could look like as a fundraiser for FCDI and our other programs. So I think that's gonna be a lot more fun than a gala or a golf tournament. So.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and we can also do team building events. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can do with it. So it's really
definitely.
Exciting.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you so much for coming on tonight. It was nice to have somebody else who's experienced it as well. And from the perspective of FCDI and AMROC Fab Lab, we're really grateful to Green Mouse Academy for their interest in partnering and being such open-minded and
gracious, yes,
easy, gracious partners to work with. They're absolutely fantastic, and thank you to everybody who watched, and for those who are going to watch later on, there's information in the chat there that you can find. Well, it's also on our website, and we will actually post this video on the website as well, so folks can follow along there. But thank you, and thanks for joining us for our first Friday at the Fab Lab, and we will see you next month with our May 1st Friday. Best of all, we'll chat with you again soon.